Two Deer by Leo Tolstoy. Tolstoy is a famous Russian writer, master of realistic fiction, and is widely considered one of the world's greatest novelists. The story Two Deer is a parody of one of the modern systems of governance. It ridicules the ways of punishing criminals and dispensing justice in modern states. The story is narrated in a matter-of-fact tone, but with an undercurrent of sarcasm. Leo Tolstoy satirizes the thirst for power exercised by men of upper class and how it affects society. In addition, it also raises a serious question on capital punishment. There is this kingdom of Monaco which lies on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea near the borders of France and Italy. The inhabitants are only 7,000 people. If the kingdom of Monaco were divided among its inhabitants, each inhabitant would get less than an acre, and hence the area was so small that it was called as a toy kingdom. The king levied taxes on tobacco, wine and spirits, and poll tax. As very few people in the kingdom drank and smoked, the revenue from the taxes on tobacco and on wine and spirits was insufficient for the prince to feed his courtiers and officials and to keep himself. The king found a special source of revenue from gaming houses where people played roulette. But throughout Europe, the German sovereigns had forbidden from keeping gaming houses because they believed that it did a great deal of harm to the people. Many a time, gamblers who lost their money in the gaming houses out of despair drowned or shot themselves. But the king of Monaco supplemented the kingdom's revenue by keeping to himself the monopoly of the gaming business. It so happened that there was a murder committed. The kingdom of Monaco had never encountered a crime like murder in its domains. When this happened, the king and the lawkeepers handled this case in a judicious manner. Though the judges sentenced the murderer to be beheaded, this was not possible, as the king of Monaco had no means to execute the murderer, and they neither had a guillotine nor an executioner. As the kingdom had neither the guillotine nor an executioner, they had to rely on their neighboring country, France, to supply them a guillotine, a machine to cut the heads off. But France told them that it would cost them 16,000 francs, which was a heavy sum. So the king decided to enquire the cost of machine from Italy. When the king enquired the cost of machine from Italy, Italy told them that they would offer guillotine machine for a lesser sum of 12,000 francs, including travelling expense. Even this was too much for the country's economy. Therefore, the king asked the general to ask if his soldiers would do it in a rough and homely fashion. But the soldiers did not agree to it, and they said that they were not trained for such a thing. Hence, the decision was revoked and the murderer was imprisoned for life. Life imprisonment, however, presented its own set of problems. There needed to be a guard at all times, and the man had to be fed. The yearly costs were calculated to be more than 600 francs, which would still necessitate an increase of taxes. According to the advice given by the ministers to bring down the expense incurred on the prisoner, the prince decided to dismiss the special guard who was kept to watch over the prisoner. This would indirectly give an opportunity for the prisoner to escape, and the prince waited to see whether the prisoner escaped, but this never happened. The prisoner went to the palace kitchen, had his food, and returned to his cell and stayed there. He did not run away. When the ministers asked him why he hadn't run away, he said that he had nowhere to go. His reputation was lost because of the punishment, and he had also forgotten how to work. So it was agreed that the criminal would leave Monaco and its domain forever, and for doing this he would be paid 600 francs annually. This somehow appeased the criminal, and he readily agreed to do so. So the criminal took 1/3 of his annuity and settled just outside the kingdom. It was only a quarter of an hour by rail, and he emigrated and settled just across the frontier, where he bought a bit of land, started market gardening, and lived comfortably. He always went at the proper time to draw his pension, and having received it, he spent 2 or 3 francs at the gaming table, winning sometimes and losing sometimes, and now lived peaceably and well.